All right, welcome again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It looks like most of our students are here with us today. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Natalie Rogers, and I'm the Community Education Manager at Houston Center for Photography, and I'm the teacher of the Collaborations program. Can everyone hear me okay? If you want to just give me a thumbs up or nod. Okay, great, thank you. So I'm so excited to see this group here today. This is a wonderful group today. I see parents, grandparents, students, and fellow HCP staff members. Thank you so much for all joining. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over the format and a few housekeeping items. After I give a brief introduction, we'll start with artist talks by each of the students about their work that's in the exhibition, followed by a question and answer period. And we'll have some time for a discussion at the end. So during the first portion, while the students are presenting, please make sure that your microphone is on mute so that we don't have any background noise and can hear the students clearly. And you can find the microphone icon on the bottom of your screen, and that's how you can mute or unmute yourself. If you're a student and it's your turn to give the presentation, obviously make sure to unmute yourself when it's your turn. I'd also like to let you know that you can type questions or comments for the students that we'll address at the end. There is a chat box at the bottom. It looks like some of you have already found that and added some messages there. So it's the little speech bubble at the bottom of the screen. If you click on that, you can write questions and comments there, and I'll make sure to read through some of those at the end. All right, and then lastly, I just wanted to let you know that our presentation today is being recorded, and a copy of it will be made available on the HCP website for anyone to view who wasn't able to join us today. So if you have friends or family you want to see this later, there will be a recording on our website that you can refer them to. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to show you the collaborations exhibition on the HCP website, how you can access it. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is the homepage of the Houston Center for Photography. It's located at hcponline.org. And where you can find collaborations, if you click on the Education tab, and then at the bottom right here under Access and Community Education Programs is Collaborations. And if you go there, it'll bring you to the homepage of our program. And you scroll down in the pink, view the Spring 2020 exhibition, I Am That I Am. If you click here, this will bring you to the exhibition. And you can see all of the students' works here that we'll also go over during the presentation today. And this is where the recording will be made available afterwards. All right, so in case you're not already familiar with the Collaborations program, this is the 17th year of the program. It's an after-school program offered every spring semester at HCP for high school students from around the greater Houston region, which encourages teamwork and cooperation as the students learn about, discuss, and create photography together. This year's group included 18 students representing 14 different high schools from around the Houston area. And as a group, they selected the theme of identity to explore for an exhibition hosted by HCP. Throughout the spring semester, the students have had so many wonderful opportunities to learn about photography and meet with professionals in the field. They visited the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, where they had the chance to view the museum's photography collection in a behind-the-scenes viewing of where the photographs are stored and cared for with Jason Dibley, the museum's collections manager for prints, drawings, and photographs. And they had the chance to view some stunning photographs from both the 1800s up until today, up close and personal. The students also had their work critiqued by Lisa Volpe, who's the museum's associate curator of photography. And they met with artist Ben DeSoto, who worked as a photographer for the Houston Chronicle for 25 years. and who recently had work on display at the Contemporary Arts Museum Houston. And we had the chance to see the exhibit in person with Ben and have a special viewing of a new documentary featuring his life's work. And that was such a special treat to view the art with the artist himself. This semester, we also faced some unique challenges, like many other educational programs and schools. Um, we had to quickly adapt and transition to an online format halfway through the semester in an effort to continue the program safely and remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. As you are about to see, these students pushed through these challenges, and I am so proud of these students for their hard work, resiliency, and thoughtfulness during this time. Their work is inspiring to me, and I would like to thank all of the students for going on this journey with me and being so open with your thoughts, feelings, and creativity. And so we'll begin our artist talks now with Alex, who I think might be having some connection issues. So she's just joining us. Let's see. Alex, are you ready to go? You can unmute your mic. All right, it looks like Alex might be having some connection issues, so we will come back to Alex. And Emily, if you'd like to unmute your mic and give us an introduction to your work.
Hi, I'm Emily McKellar. I go to Bridgeland High School, and this is my work for the I Am That I Am exhibit. For my images, I used a form of makeup to hide my identity from cameras, which is called computer vision dazzle, instead of showing my identity as normal people would with the concept of identity being taken. And I wanted to choose how other people would see me instead of like a base. We were talking about this during our interview that we posted the other day. Um, with cameras and like security footage, you can be seen doing something that doesn't define you. So if you had the ability to take away your identity to show what you wanted to see with your face and wanted to correlate with your personality, um, yeah. um, and I had trouble with figuring out my camera at first because I was used to using my film camera. But slowly but surely, I figured out my digital camera and figured out how to fix my background and all of that fun stuff. But yeah. This is the second image that I chose in my series of 4 pictures. I felt like it would be nice to have one where I was smiling instead of just blank faced. I hadn't actually edited one where I was smiling in any of my proofs of my images, so I figured it was a nice break from the seriousness, I guess. But yeah. Thank you. I think this one's my favorite though. Surprisingly, I didn't think it would be.
And Emily, let me know if you want me to go back and forth to any of your images.
You're good. I really enjoyed working in the program and meeting new people and seeing how everyone else chose their form of identity to be shown to the world. So thank you for having me in the program.
Of course. Thank you so much, Emily. All right. Thank you, Emily. Moving to George. George, are you ready to share?
No, but I'm gonna go anyway. All right. Well, hi everybody. Thanks for joining the call. This right here is my piece for collaborations based on identity. And since strictly I'm a film photographer, and given the COVID-19 pandemic, I wasn't really given an opportunity to develop much film. So I used my resources and found the Polaroid camera I had lying around and did what I could with that. So with that, I with this project, I started taking pictures of myself, kind of like on a day-to-day basis, which were like straight on self-portraits. But I find myself not feeling like they perfectly reflected my identity, in which that was the goal with this exhibition. And then so I took into account my love for writing, and I guess I kind of wanted to express a form of vulnerability with thoughts that like anxiety driven thoughts that I may have, and I decided to connect the two. And I really like how the pieces came out. And uh Mr. Rogers, if you could like scroll through some of them, please.
Sorry, one second.
It's okay.
It's there we go.
Yeah, so like at first, since I just did the self portraits, even then I didn't feel kind of fulfilled, because I guess what I was trying to reflect with these pictures, and like I guess the vulnerability that I wanted to express, that came from a sense of, I guess, I don't know, just not really more putting myself out there, but revealing thoughts that I guess some people don't necessarily want to put out there, and kind of the day-to-day issues that many people face with mental health, and these anxiety-driven thoughts. So like pictures like these, along with the writing that I put on them, kind of like how like time keeps going, but like these thoughts, like they seem to never change. And like if you see any of the other pictures, they all share that, I guess, really themes of fear that I commonly have on a day-to-day basis. But I guess to conclude with my piece, if you could go back to the original, Miss Rogers. The centerpiece, I guess I came to the conclusion that like when I was writing all these, it was very therapeutic for me, and I kind of came to a sense of peace with like all these thoughts, because it kind of reminded me that this is like a mental battle that won't end, and it will last forever. And I guess I realized that in order to like stop fearing all these thoughts that I had on a day-to-day basis, is kind of accept the thoughts that I don't necessarily want. And I don't know, it was really fulfilling to come see all this come all together, especially like day by day, seeing like the progression I made. And that's why if you look at the center photograph of the heart, it basically comments on that, I guess, sense of peace that I found with myself. But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, George. And so this is George's piece here. And then these are some detail shots.
Oh, and thank you, Emily.
All right. Thank you, George.
hmm and yeah, I also wanted to mention, I'm really grateful for the opportunity, Miss Rogers, and to everyone in the program. It was like a pleasure working with all of you. Y'all are so cool.
Well, it was so wonderful to have you. Thank you for all of your participation and passion in the program, George. All right, Catherine, are you here and ready to go?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Catherine.
Okay, so this small series of pictures really too was they served as firstly a kind of practice for digital for me. I used to use film a lot, but I wasn't able to do that due to COVID. So that was what this was at first. And then the bigger picture behind it, as behind all of ours was identity, and I wanted to focus on something that I could relate to that I was going through in my life. And it would probably be, what I realized was that I was, kind of in a liminal space, changing from a child to an adult as a teenager does. And I wanted to show that through the through how I get rid of, childhood uh, materials, not so much the memories, which I can hold on to. So in this, I'm actually burning a stuffed animal of mine to show the kind of cleansing that it provided.
So these, and this is Catherine's second picture here. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. And we'll, I think we'll come back to everyone's with some questions at the end. Great. Moving to Mackenzie. Is Mackenzie here? All right. I don't see Mackenzie, so maybe we'll come back if she's having some trouble joining. But Mackenzie worked with a projector and worked in collaboration with some of her friends and thinking of words that other people might use to describe them that might be hurtful. All right, moving to Stacia. Stacia, I think I saw you earlier. Are you ready to go?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Hi, Stacia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stacia Frank. I currently attend Heights High School as an incoming sophomore. So my photos show a part of me. And so at first I wasn't really sure what I wanted to take pictures of that show my identity. But a part of me has always liked photos from older times that were in black and white, especially when there were people of color. It gave a different kind of vibe to me. And that's what I aspired to do with the photos that you see that are being shown on the screen. So I really enjoyed my time during collaborations program. I also enjoyed having different perspectives of others who, well, that I've never really thought of, and to others who are close in age with me. So thank you, Miss Natalie, for giving me the opportunity to be able to show my artwork.
Of course. Thank you, Stacia. So I know these were some newer photos that you took recently. I know some of the ones from your video that we shared on Instagram were of your sister. Did you want to tell us a little bit more about who these photos might be, or what you were going for with your photos here?
So they are pictures of my sister's friends, actually. And so I didn't really want everything to be just of her. I kind of wanted to expand, and I kind of, well, yeah, just expand really. And I want to try something different.
Great. So you see these as part of that series that you had started with your sister?
Yes.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Stacia. Moving to Susan Grace.
Hi, my name is Susan Grace Pelswell, and I'm an incoming freshman at the School of Art at the University of Houston. And for my piece with collaborations, I chose to reflect on the identities of those who formed mine, because there's a lot of fear in permeating your own identity. So the way I chose to approach it was to speak to those who've really formed, again, my own identity, and talk to them about how I touched on theirs, how we've changed over the years, and different topics related to that. And I chose my friend Jenny Ashley, who was very formidable in my identity years ago. We lost touch once we got to high school. So I spoke to her and we talked about identity and reflections and back and forth with that. And this was a photo of her that I chose for its vulnerability. And that was something we really explored with each other growing up. And I felt it reflected current vulnerability with one another and how, even though we are very distant, there is still that degree of that there, and how it affects our identity still. And it's not the best way I could put it, but it's what I have. And I wanted to say thank you to Ms. Rogers for allowing me to take part in this program. It's a very important experience to me, and I enjoyed working with all of you.
Yes, thank you, Susan Grace. And thank you so much for to the program and all of your hard work. And I wish you the very best at U of H in the art department. Thank you. That's exciting. So, thank you, Susan Grace. All right, moving to our last student, Valerie. Is Valerie with us today? Oh, okay. Well, I don't see Valerie, so I'll give an introduction to her work. So Valerie, all semester, she's been exploring long exposure, and she often serves as the model in her photographs. And she shared with us that she previously was a dancer, that she studied ballet, and so this really informs her work. But once the group decided to focus on identity, she was really drawn to this idea of fire and how fire could serve as a symbol of renewal and change in one's identity. And so she took a series of photographs of herself doing different kind of dance poses and body movement to convey this sense of movement like the flames of a fire, to create this very impressive wide shot that she pieced together in Photoshop. And she compared it to painting. And she talked about how she really enjoyed Renaissance painting. And I encourage you to watch the video that she and Catherine created together talking about this work to get some more insight from her. That's on our Instagram page. But here are a few detail shots of the piece because there's so much going on here. All right. And then did Alex join us? Alex Garcia, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
All right, tell us about your pieces.
Okay, so when we came up with the topic identity, I didn't really know what to do. But then I thought about it thinking, like, is your identity given or is it created? And so that's what my pieces will be discovering today. Now, this first photo, this first photo, as you can tell, I have colored hair, and that is one of my things that I decided to have for my identity. But since I was going against either given or created, I decided to do what was natural. You know, the color of my eyes, no makeup, and just my natural hair color with this first created photo. I mean, given. And for my second photo, I decided to emphasize the color of my skin, as that's the color that I was given whenever I was born. And for this photo, I decided, how is it that I give myself an identity? How do I create it? And I normally hide my face a lot, and I use either jewelry or clothing or shoes to emphasize my identity. So with this photo, I decided to cover my face and to show what I had created of myself. Possibly one of my favorite photos. This is a photo of the tattoo that I have on my ankle. It was very impulsive, but it's something that I hold dear to my heart. And there's a lot of controversy against tattoos, but in my beliefs, I think that tattoos are a way to show what you think personally is either cute, or if it's not, you still want to put it on your body, go ahead. It's what you choose to identify as you. And the last few photos, I decided to show off different versions of myself and how I use clothing, makeup, and jewelry to transform myself into the person / identity of what I want others to perceive me as. And for this photo, I did that exact thing, but I decided to go against my comfort zone. And I wore a shirt that I didn't really like because it emphasizes certain parts of my body that I'm not comfortable with, whereas the skirt is one of my favorite outfits. And I decided to put these together to show that although I am like very comfortable with myself and very ongoing and forward with everyone, I do have a certain side where I'm like kind of hidden. So, and this last one is the same thing, but I decided to put a little bit of what's going on now with the face mask, because if you go anywhere, you have to have a mask on. Ain't nobody trying to get that Rona. And yeah, that's my piece, my artwork.
Thank you so much, Alex. All right. Well, I think that's everyone, unless if Valerie was able to join us, please interrupt me at any point. But now is, I think, a great time to address any questions, comments that anybody has. You're welcome to just unmute your mic if you have any questions for the students or about a specific piece. And I'll also kind of look at the comments here. Any questions? Sorry, I'm having trouble accessing the comments, but in the meantime, I have a question for the students, and this came up in some of your presentations just now, but how does the COVID-19 pandemic affect your work right now?
Oh, wait, who wants to go?
No, go.
No, you could
Go
go.
ahead,
You
go
could
ahead.
go.
No, you go.
Okay, I'll just go. Well, I think a common belief that most people would have with the whole pandemic and the stay-at-home order is that I guess this time allows people to be really introspective and to just like reflect upon themselves. And I think that's like really crucial when it comes to making artwork. Uh, just like knowing yourself and what you're putting into your artwork. I just think it's really important. It's I guess what the whole coronavirus situation has brought upon at least in my piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it felt very limiting in the fact that it's a literally globally shared experience that everyone is experiencing from one degree to another that is impacting our identities currently right now. Even though I personally chose to not reflect it in my selections, I felt very present in while I was actually making it, even if I didn't want it to reflect on my final product.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the fact that I work with film and the processing and how difficult that was. And
yeah, can you tell us what you had to do in order to get your film developed, Susan Grace?
There was a consideration of turning my bathroom into a dark room, but at the end of the day, I went to a film processing facility that was open, dropped my film off with zero contact, waited about 48 to 72 hours, and went back again to pick it up again with zero contact.
And even though we don't directly see a reference to the pandemic in your piece, Susan Grace, I feel like I remember you talking about how this time of isolation kind of prompted you to want to reconnect with this friend of yours. Yeah. Emily, did you have something you wanted to share?
I just thought that with COVID-19, it was a lot of we've had a lot of time to ourselves, and it was a great opportunity to learn more about my cameras and like technology and everything, and get back into the swing of things, because there was a break between school and doing this, and just having time to yourself. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So another question I had was, through the process of creating these works, did y'all feel like you learned anything new about yourself?
I don't think I learned anything new about myself. If anything, I feel like I was just reminded a lot about myself, like especially like certain limitations that I may place on myself that like are like really unnecessary when it comes to my growth. I think, yeah, I don't think I necessarily learned anything new about myself, just more like reminders.
What were you reminded of?
Uh, well, since like my piece like reflected issues with mental health, I guess just how I don't know how limiting it could be, and just like my will was really tested throughout this whole time when I had a lot of time to myself. And if anything, like I felt like I've come out of it like even stronger. And like if I was ever faced with any levels of adversity, that I could take into consideration methods that I used in the past to overcome any new obstacles.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us, George, a little bit more about the writing and what that means to you?
Yeah, the writing, well, for the longest, ever since like I felt like I had a sincere love for journaling specifically, and because I would consider myself an introspective person. Like I always like to reflect, and I think it really comes out of a fear of forgetting. And with the with putting the writing on the pictures, it allowed myself, like, I want to be able to look back on these pieces like 10 years from now, know the thoughts that I had, and specifically how I grew from them. And maybe 10 years from now, it could serve as another reminder if I'm struggling again. And knowing that, uh, like I said earlier, like it's a battle that would never end. And I don't know, the writing really emphasizes that for me, which is why I thought it was so important.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you telling us that this was almost like keeping a journal for you, taking these daily Polaroids and writing on them.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was.
Great. Catherine, I was curious, do you feel like you learned anything new about yourself in burning these childhood stuffed animals?
Okay, I would say that opposed, had I learned anything about myself, it would be that I'm more willing to let go of material things than I thought I was. And that was especially like now during this time. You know, like you said, it's very important to reflect upon ourselves with all the time that we do have to do that. So, you know, that's what led me to burn these things, was because I only had the resources in my house to work with, really. And so, you know, I burned them, and through this series, I really realized that it was I wasn't even looking back upon these things with the familiarity and the care that I thought I was, until I decided to burn them, and that's when I realized how much they actually meant to me, and through memories opposed to through materialism. So I've definitely learned that as an improvement I might make about myself, opposed to something I've learned about myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that was a really difficult thing for you to do. And I love that your photographs are like a documentation of a performance that you did, to kind of like a rite of passage.
Yeah, that's why there are only two. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely still have some of my childhood things that I wouldn't be able to do that. So I applaud you for letting go. Let's see, I'm looking through the group chat, see if there is any questions for anyone. Lots of wonderful comments. I hope students, you can look through those and see them about your work. I see our director is here with us, Ashlyn Davis. Thank you for joining, Ashlyn. She has some good comments. And Shannon as well, our director of education, Shannon Kreider, is here with us. Stacia, can you tell us a little bit more about yours? Ashlyn brought up a good point. They're very fashion oriented and very similar to our current exhibit that's up right now, Fashion and Activism. And I remember you mentioned that that show inspired you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so I enjoy fashion. I enjoy, shopping, and I like putting clothes together, making them look either unique or very vintage. And so in my photos, I kind of wanted to capture that, but as well as my models being free to wear what they would want to wear. But I do enjoy fashion photography. And I think to me personally, it's fun to shoot it because you're able to have fun with your clothes. That's what I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm. Like a form of expression through
Yes.
the accessories. I remember you telling us that you saw the models as an extension of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You saw
I wanted them to show a part of me that I don't normally show.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of stood in for yourself. So instead of photographing yourself, you photographed these models and kind of directed them to pose certain ways. And
yes, both of the way that I wanted them to pose and how they wanted to pose.
Yeah, I thought that was such an interesting concept of like seeing yourself in another person and then photographing them, and how our identities can be shaped by those around us, right? And that we might see ourselves in other people. You talked about how you see yourself in your sister all the time, how y'all have the mannerisms and gestures. And I found that really interesting comment that you had made.
Thank you.
Let's see. See if there's any other, I guess just my last question for all of y'all is, will any of you continue working on these ideas? Like Emily, are you going to keep doing CV Dazzle?
I think it's something I'd like to explore. Yeah, I enjoyed doing the makeup despite it being very tedious. Yeah, I think I'll continue to work with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you said it made you recognize the art form of just makeup, right?
Yeah, I realize like I have a hard time seeing. So I already am astounded by people who can just do makeup.
Mm-hmm. I think, Emily, your screen might have frozen up, but I'm just going to scroll through your pictures again. Yeah, I had never even heard of this before Emily brought up CV Dazzle. It's very interesting. There's a whole culture out there. And Emily, I remember you'd mentioned during your video interview on Instagram that some people are now using this in protests and as a way to kind of protect their identity on cameras so that they're kind of hidden. What about you, Stacia? Do you think you'll keep doing more of these kind of fashion-oriented photos?
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Susan Grace, do you think you'll keep doing portraiture of various friends? Or I know you had spoken to us about you had an interest in taking portraits of people that you just meet on the street. Do you think you'll continue in either of those?
I do plan on continuing to work in portraiture and film especially, and don't really plan on stopping. So we'll see where it takes me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love just the color and the light in this photo and how her pink lips really pop out. And it's a very calming image that's very nice to look at, especially right now.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no questions from anyone else in the group, I just wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors who've supported the collaborations program and all of our community education programs. And just thank you to all of you for joining us today. Thank you to Ashlyn Davis, our executive director, to Shannon Kreider, our education director, and all of our other HCP staff. And to all of our guests and collaborations this year, and the Contemporary Arts Museum and the Museum of Fine Arts for hosting us this year. Before we go, I just wanted to show the HCP Instagram page. So you know where you can find the videos that the students made. If you go to our Instagram page, which is HCP Online, if you go to the IGTV, you can find the 4 collaborations conversations that the students made. And these go into kind of great depth about the ideas that the students are thinking about with their work. And I just love these so much, and the give and take between the 2 students in each of these. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing here. And just wanted to make sure that if there's any other questions or anyone, let's see. Yeah, so many great comments. I hope the students will take a look at these. Yeah, this is very thoughtful and personal work. And y'all were very brave to share all of this. All right, so students, be on the lookout in your email. I'm gonna send you an email next week with a survey, and also just to send you some resources about some other teen programs that we have coming up or other opportunities that I know of that you might be interested in. And please stay in touch with us. You are part of the HCP family now. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime or to any of us at HCP. And as soon as we're able to open back up again, I'd love to see you back at the gallery. So thank you so much, everyone. Y'all take care. And students, have a wonderful summer. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Houston Center for Photography exists for and because of our community. Our access and community education programs support the organization's mission of increasing awareness and appreciation of photography in partnership with several local schools, community centers, public parks, and medical centers. Thank you.